everyone, it's Krista here with Blooms and Brushstrokes. Welcome to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. I hope you enjoy the tutorials. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so very much for joining me in this watercolor journey, for having fun with me, for enjoying the tutorials, for commenting, sharing your work with me, tagging me on social media. That is awesome. I really enjoy seeing everything that you guys are doing. I think it's lovely, and even if it's something that you're painting that isn't from a tutorial of mine, I love seeing what you're up to, following you on social media. So if you have an account, tag me at Blooms and Brushstrokes on Instagram, and I'd be happy to follow you back so I can see what you guys are up to. Anyhow, today we are going to do a tutorial on a couple of dahlias, and the reason I chose to do dahlias today is because they are multiple layered flowers. So rather than it just being like one dimensional like just, one kind of flat, one dimensional flower, a dahlia is layered. There's many layers of petals. And so this is an opportunity for me to show you a little bit how to work with that, as opposed to just doing one layer of petals. And so I just did a short, and it was the anemone flower, and that was kind of a prelude into this, and this is going to be a little bit more detailed. So we are going to pay attention to more of that dot technique and being a little bit more specific about what I'm doing as I create this picture of dahlias. So it's going to be a little bit different. I will put the drawing up here for you guys, so that you can see if you need to take a screenshot to draw it out beforehand. I have pre-sketched out this drawing because it is multi-layered, and or there's multiple layers of petals, and it's very easy for you to get lost in what you're doing. I did a little bit sample one yesterday, like so, just to practice. We aren't going to be using the exact same colors in all of this. We're going to be using some of these pinks and the burnt siennas, but we're also going to incorporate a little bit of yellow and the burnt sienna as well. So today, for supplies, what I'm going to be using is the Canson watercolor paper that I have been using for the last little bit. It was that giant pad that I have. I've been cutting it up. I did measure it out. These pieces are approximately 6 by 9, so they are a good size. For a card, it's a bit larger than a 5 by 7, but if you wanted to shrink it down a bit, very doable. I'm also going to use the Fuumuui opaque watercolor set for the background. That's these. Thank you to Fuumuui for sending them my way. I think they had mentioned they were going to send some more. I haven't been in touch with them since that email, so I will see if those are still on the way. I'm going to use the Mungyo watercolor paints because I love the variety of paints, the variety of colors that are in this paint set, and I've sprayed them down. Could probably spray them a little bit more because I've been talking a bit. But it's the Mungyo 48, I think 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, yeah, 48 pan set. They have lots of beautiful bright colors, so I'm going to be using that. I'm going to use the Speedball, Gold Speedball Calligraphy ink for this one, for the fine details. I'm going to use the number 8 Aqua Elite Princeton round long brush, as I use a lot. I will use the number 1 script brush for splattering at the end, and then I'm going to use a 10-0 liner brush for doing the detail work. Those are my go-tos. I was going to be a little crazy and use a different brush today, but I thought we're already going to be learning some new things, so we may as well stick with the brush that I use predominantly. I do love it. I live out of town. I live in a rural area. I don't get to the city a lot. I don't love buying brushes online all the time, mostly because I like to see them and feel them in my hand before I actually purchase them. So I just don't get to the city much, but I would love to try a few different brushes. So when I do get to the city, I usually have a million things to do. So getting to the art store isn't always something I get to do, but I'd like to try a few different ones. So hopefully I get there soon, and I'll be able to get a few new brushes and some supplies. But for now, we're still sticking with what I know and love, which is that number 8 long round Aqua Elite Princeton brush. So anyways, you guys, I think that's enough for us to get started. So let's get cracking and get this painting on the go. So I'm going to start on the left flower and then work my way over to the right because I'm right-handed. I don't want to get my hand all smudged into this. So the very first flower we're going to do, the very first dahlia, is going to be done in burnt sienna and yellow. So we're going to go a little bit brighter today. These aren't colors that I typically work in, and I always seem to be drawn back to, you know, purples and blues a lot of the time, which I find interesting. We are going to follow this color scheme as well. We're going to use dark pink and burnt sienna as well. We're going to do one like this. We'll do the one over here. So we're going to start off by doing our left petal, our left dahlia, and we're going to use those two colors, and we're just going to get cracking at it. So basically when I'm doing a multi-layered flower with the petals, I start by working the inner circle of petals, and then I work my way out. I don't necessarily do every single one. I will show you as we go along here. So as I said, we're going to use yellow and burnt sienna. So I'm going to put down just one dot of the burnt sienna. So we're starting at the first set of petals from the center. We will do the center, but not the very first. So I'm just going to start here, and I'm going to put down one dot of the burnt sienna, one dot of the yellow. Yeah, maybe two dots of the yellow. So we're going to go in and we're going to work our way up. And now what I do is I don't worry about having to stay so much in line, in the exactly in the shape of that petal, because I'm not going to do every single petal with color. So we're going to just kind of work our way around and explore a bit. And just play around a bit with the placement of the color and how we're doing the petal. So I've kind of jumped over one here. We're going to go a little bit bigger there. That looks good. So again, we're going to be with the amount of water on our brushes, we dip it into our water and then we tap it 2, 3, or 4 times on the side. You don't want it to be too wet. And we want lots of moisture in our paint. So that's why we get it activated to begin with. So we're going to go drop in some yellow there. And again, just the same as we've been doing. You can do some right beside each other, but I'm going to do kind of every other one for now, and then we'll build in some more as we go. But if you go and work too closely to these, they're going to bleed together because they're still wet. So you kind of want to do every other one, and then if you want to add a few in between, fine. But right now we're doing every opposite one so that they're not bleeding into each other too much and creating too much muddiness there. Awesome. I'm going to work this petal here as well. And so for these petals close to the center, I'm using a bit more of that burnt sienna than I am using yellow because the color is more concentrated when it gets to the center. And as it gets out further, the petals will become brighter. Excellent. I think that looks good for those ones right there. So now we can work our way up on the second layer of petals, which is the one just behind the very first. And we're going to be getting a little bit brighter. So we're going to just go in with maybe one dot of the burnt sienna and 2 or 3 dots of the yellow. Again, start below and push your way up. And so some of that paint can also move into the petal below it that doesn't have any paint in it. Or that is why I've decided to do every other petal and not every single petal in the whole thing, because some of the color is going to overlap, and we're, you know, we don't want it to just look like one big blob of color. We put in the detail with the line afterwards. So you'll see as I move through this how I'm kind of skipping over some and not others, because we want to see the petals in this and not necessarily it just be all one color or one big blob. And so again, I've gone over top of this petal, no problem. It's fine. So I'm going to work my way over this way. So there isn't really a ton of rhyme or reason per se. I just want to have some paint in there, so you can pick whatever, wherever you want to put your paint down. If you want to do every single one, fine, but you're going to, it's going to get a bit busy looking. That looks lovely. I'm going to move on over to this far left side here for me. A couple dots of that burnt sienna. Few dots of that yellow, just straight yellow. This is kind of a weird angle for me. Excellent. That looks great as well. I'm going to move up top here now. So we're going to go drop in again. A couple dots of that burnt sienna right close to where the petals would connect. And then a little bit of that yellow as well. Tap off your brush and clean it off, as I always say, before you get doing this. Oh, I love the way that looks. That's really pretty. So now that these ones in the center have almost had a chance to fully dry, we're going to go work on the center a little bit. This is kind of more free-flowing because we aren't going to do every single petal, and we just want to get some color in there, but quite a bit of intense color, because, and maybe we could even go and put a little bit of yellow orange in there, or even just orange, because it's so concentrated in there that the color would have way more depth to it. And we're just going to go and do, oh yeah, I like how that looks with that orange. Little experiment happened there. And so I'm just staying more controlled with my paintbrush and my paint in this area, because I'm going to drop a little bit more of that orange in there, because we want to stay pretty concentrated in here, and we don't want it to just all bleed together. So we're only going to put about 3 kind of defined petal shapes in there. And you can do one, let it dry, do the other. I'm kind of living a bit dangerously and plunking 3 in at once, but in such a small space, it can become a bit crazy in there. So the main idea is that I'm going to put a little bit more burnt sienna down here, is that we get some color, fairly concentrated, but leave out quite a bit of the white in there as well. It doesn't need to have a ton of rhyme or reason per se, because we are going to again go in and do the detail with the pen and the ink and all that stuff. So I think that looks really good. Okay, let's move on out. Now that these have dried a bit better, we're going to move on out further and do one last pass through. So I'm going to go work on this one over here, because we're on the furthest petals. I think I'm going to go in and actually add a little bit of that lemon yellow as opposed to just yellow, because we're getting brighter. as we move out from the center. Just like so. So you can see that some of my paint is in the tip of this one. Perfect. Then I don't need to go add more paint into that. Like there's enough going on there, it's gonna have color in it. Then we'll bump over to this one here because there's a few petals that don't have anything going on there yet. And again, with that lemon yellow, clean off your brush. The really important thing is that you clean off your brush in between when you move the color around, when you first get going on this, because it's so easy for it to just get really carried away. And then all of a sudden it's just a mess. So clean off your brush. The more you clean off the brush, your brush, the merry, like the better the situation. So I'm going to go and work on this one over here. Again, still going to use that lemon yellow as we are far out from the center now. Cleaning off my brush in between and really bringing that out. I'm actually going to put a little bit more lemon yellow over here. Clean off your brush, and this is hard to work on this direction. So I think on a few of these ones that are, it looks like there's a lot still that don't have any color in them. I'm just going to go in with some yellow and some lemon yellow, but pretty lightly, you know, so there's just, it's soft. I'm just going to do that on a few of these petals that have nothing in them, just to give a little some, but it doesn't need to be a lot. I'm just going to do a couple little strokes of color in that yellow just to kind of add a little bit around. You don't necessarily need to do the dot. I think that looks really great as it is right now. Once we put in the line work, it's going to look unbelievable. So we're going to leave that one where it's at, and we are going to move along onto this one here on the right hand side.
On our right one, we are using burnt sienna and the cool pink. Cool pink is this one here, burnt sienna again. And a combo of those colors, and maybe they're neighbors. This is going a little bit of a different direction, opening upwards a bit so it's not full on. We're going to use the same technique and work on the first layer of petals outside of the middle. Sorry, can't get the words out of my mouth today. So we'll start right down here, couple dots of that burnt sienna. Small dots of that cool pink. Clean off your brush, tap it off. See a couple dots in there, you can go smudge them out a bit if those happen to you. I like that, I don't mind it at all. So we're gonna work on this one over on the side. Couple dots down, whoopsie daisy. And the cool pink. And I love the look of this, all this together. So when I'm going to do this, you can see my brush is going to be on the side a bit. So I'm going to get maximum drag with the color. So I'm pushing it down. And then this one again. So as I showed you in the previous tutorial, the more you push down, the wider your paint is going to go. And the less you push down with the tip, the more narrow that stroke is going to be. So we're going to go up here. Cool pink. And again, start from below, pushing down on the side pretty decently. So I've got a little bit too much water, but that's okay. You can go pick a little bit of that up with a dry brush, so you can dry your brush off. If you get those little puddles and they make it kind of wonky, you can just take your paper towel, take your brush, dry it off, and then go in there and pick up some of that you don't like.
That's a great way to make highlights. All right, I'm going to work on this over here in this area. So here I'm not even going to be really specific to a petal. There's two of them right close together. I'm going to kind of work the color into both of them at the same time. So we're going to go up, pushing down, lots of drag. Perfect. And then this one will go like that. So it's gonna feel a bit weird for those of us that like to have paint and to have exact, paint in the lines and it look exact. This may blow your brains a little bit. It's hard to do. Sometimes it takes a bit of practice because I've just basically done the shape of one petal in two. But again, those petals will come to life as soon as we get that ink going on. So we're going to go this one over here. And so we'll do burnt sienna, burnt sienna. We'll do a cool pink down here and a couple cool pinks up top. Again, we're going to cover two petals at once here. Push out, push out, push out, lift up, thinner. Clean off your brush in between. Push down, push down, push down. Just going around and moving that color where it feels it should go. So that's a huge part of my painting is not necessarily going into every painting with the exact plan, but feeling it as I move through the painting. And it's very hard to teach that. That's not an easy feat, that's for sure, but you'll understand the more that you just feel your painting. If that's something you ever allow yourself to do, then it'll make a lot of sense to you. And I think as artists, we all kind of get that a bit. Like you'll be working on something and be like, nope, that does not feel good. And so we move away from whatever we're doing and into something different. And the painting evolves through that. Really loving these colors. I just love that cool pink and that burnt sienna together and the softer yellow tones. I think that's really pretty as well. So this one is, I'm going over a few petals here. Looks good. Okay. I think that these petals in the center here are probably dry enough. Yeah. So we can go work on our center petals here. And so they're going upwards, all of them, because of the direction this flower is shaped. So we're working with the tip of our brush. We're not going to push too hard down so we can keep better control of what's going on here because we're in a smaller space. So that's why I think sometimes it doesn't really always matter what brush you're using. It's just learning how to use the brush and what parts of it to use, Bigger brush holds a lot of water. The smaller the brush, less water. So that's, but you can do a lot of brush manipulation to make the strokes exactly how you want them to be and how you want them to look. So I know that lots of viewers love to know exactly what brush I'm using, and I think that's awesome. For sure, it's easier maybe sometimes to get the exact results or very similar results if you are using the same brush, but live dangerously a little bit and try something that's a bit different than what I'm using. Or if you don't have what I have, it's all good because you can learn to use the brush just the same way I use any brush, any number, the same way I use this. So load it up with water, tap it off, and then go in and push those all out. Yeah. So I'm letting this one in the middle dry because they're very close together. So I'm going to let that one in the center dry and then work on the other two once that's dry. I think I'm going to work on these ones over here a bit and then maybe just add a little bit of pink in a few of these outer petals. And then that'll be good enough. So we'll do this, this, and this. Dot up here.
That looks good. So in the last little bit here, I'm just gonna go in and add some of the opera pink, which is this nice, bright, beautiful. Just a few dots of that to finish up some of these petals without adding too much. Just a little on the side here. There, that's gonna do it for that. That's enough. So we've got those in there looking lovely as can be. And so we are gonna add just a little bit of background color here with the Fuumuui paints. Not a whole big bunch, but just a little something. Sorry, you guys. Okay. I'm really loving the idea of using a little bit of the yellow gray and a bit of the green gray. Yeah, green gray, yellow gray 2, green gray 1, I think we'll do. So to do the background, I go in and I get water on my brush and I go through it. I'm going to just do this kind of starting in the center. So we're just going to move some water ever so organically through this center area. And I'm going to start off with the yellow gray or the green gray 1. Quite a bit of color on the end of that because we've already dropped down water. And we're just going to go around and bring it up organically. So it's not necessarily you're doing straight lines or anything like that, but blurring it a bit with that paint. So you just, yeah, bring it down soft where the water is. You can go add some more water, bring up some paint. Like I don't want the whole background covered, and that I think to me I don't love the look of that. I understand why some people do, but I don't. I'm gonna take a little bit of this and go around the edge of this. I do love how this works for the background. Then I'm going to take a little of the yellow gray 3. Just add a bit of that in there. You don't want it to look too crazy, so you got to go blur it up a bit if it goes in pretty heavy. It's a bit darker, so you got to play around a little bit. And I just go through and I like it to look like the background is watercolor painted. If that makes sense, you know? I don't want it to look like it's necessarily a whole entire background of color, but just loosely painted. So that's the look I try to give when I go in there and do the background. Just little hints here or there. I think that's good for that. Otherwise it'll get too much for me. I just like a little bit so it just looks, yeah. So let that totally dry. I've got my Micron 01 Archival Ink Pen here. We'll start in the center of the flower and the same as I always do. We're going over each a couple times. Just as I normally do the line work. And so this is why I like to have the drawing down first as well, because it helps to see where those petals were. So we don't get totally crazy. So this part takes a little while, you guys, as you know. So I'm just gonna go ahead and outline this. You guys can do this part if you so choose. If you do not, I totally understand. It's not for everybody. But I'm going to speed this up because you know how this goes. And I think if you've been following along, you would probably know my technique right now. And as I've been doing lately is kind of going over everything 2 times just to get a little bit more detail. I was doing one line at a time and I just found I wasn't getting the look I was hopeful for. So now we're working on doing the 2 lines, and I think that works out a little bit better for me. I like the look of it a little bit more bold. It's not maybe for everybody. So if you don't like the line work, don't do the line work. Just stop while you're ahead. And if you do like the line work,
then this is your time to shine. And go ahead and do it. And yeah, I will check with you guys here when we pop into this one. Now we're onto the pink one here. So just the same as we've been doing. And we'll just carry on and finish up this flower as well. If you guys have any questions about how to outline, or you're feeling a little stuck as far as it goes with just allowing yourself to move freely through the outlining process of your painting, shoot me a message. Hopefully I can give you some tips on how to kind of get through that. It's almost like a writer's block a little bit, you know, where it's like you're just kind of jammed up a bit. Let me know, and I hopefully can help you out and get you on your merry way to being able to do things a little looser. And if that's not what you desire and it's not the look you desire, then that's totally fine. If you prefer to have things more structured, by all means, do what feels best for you. This is your art, your painting. Yes, my tutorial, but at the end of the day, it still is your paintings. You have to do what resonates with you and what feels good. And that's what makes it truly unique and your own. So even though you're following my tutorial, and that's what I love, while you are following my tutorial, it is still your own very unique piece of art, because it's got your flair and your pizzazz and your style. I never feel, if you guys are following a tutorial of mine, and I never ever think to myself, oh, well, that's copying or anything like that. Like, no, you put your name on that and that's your art. I'm so beyond flattered that you guys even watch these tutorials. So don't ever feel weird about promoting yourself no matter what tutorials you follow. Share, because your art will speak to somebody or inspire somebody. And that's the best gift we can give, is the gift of inspiration. And that's pretty much why I do these. The painting has helped me through so much in my life, and I know what it can do for other people, so that's why I share what I share. This isn't a business of mine. I have not, while I am monetized, I have not yet even received a cent from YouTube, and I continue to do this because I truly love art and I love sharing it with you guys. Okay, so that we are outlined, we are ready to go with our gold Speedball calligraphy ink. Again, this is a bit of a slow process. So you shake up your calligraphy ink, and then I go through, which I'll show you guys quickly, and then I will catch up with you guys when I'm finishing up, so that this doesn't take forever as well. But I go in, I fill in those gaps in there, the odd gap here and there, in the black pen work. I've had people comment saying they don't love this and they could go without, and that's cool. I don't think it's for everybody either, but I like it. And I think it just gives it that little bit of sparkle, which I think we need a little more of these days. All right, friends, so I'm going to carry on doing this, and I'm going to catch up with you guys when I'm finished putting this all in, because it takes another, few minutes for that as well, but I think you guys get the idea of what I'm doing here. So I'm just going in and adding a little bit of that, and I'll do it to both. I've made it through the gold details. And so what I do once I've done the gold, as you can see here on this petal here down at the bottom, I've gone over the lines. So I'm just going over the lines that I already have there. I'm not creating any more really. I'm just trying to brighten those back up. So I'm going to go over and do all of that throughout the whole painting. Here we have all of our outlining done. We have all of our metallic done, except for the splatters, which is the fun part at the end, which I know not everybody loves. But we're going to go do it anyways because I love it. As usual, I always start with a lot of splatters in the center, big ones, and then they get smaller and more fine as we branch out to the outer petals of the flower. And that is that, just like so. So you can go sign your name if you like. I always do. I like to put my name and then the year so I can see how far I've come on my paintings. So that does it for another fun tutorial for us. The dahlias. I absolutely love dahlia flowers. I think they're one of the garden's most beautiful flowers, but I have not yet found a flower that I don't love, so that goes without saying. Anyways, you guys, as usual, if you like this video or this tutorial, please give me a thumbs up. If you have any comments, questions at all, please feel free to drop them in the comments section. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. The more people do that and the more people engage, the more my channel gets pushed out or my videos get pushed out to other people so other people can see what fun we're having over here and join us. Anyways, you guys, I think that's going to do it for this tutorial. All in all, I think it went very well. I absolutely love the color selection. I love the finished product. I think it would make a great card, could make a great paint, like just a great piece of art in your house. You could do it on a larger scale or even on a little bit smaller and have lots of fun with that. So make sure you guys play around with that. Use lots of different colors in your palette and enjoy. We will see you guys in the next tutorial. Thank you so much for watching.